Hello. I appreciate everybody being here, and I see quite a few people are in the house early already. And I really have been looking forward to doing this show. And the main reason being, when I first started out here on this show, I wanted to do this show because I remember watching Sammy Gravano and saying to myself, what are we as a society that we have somebody like this that has a show? I mean, and then you have all these fanboys, and they just don't understand who Sammy Gravano was and what Sammy Gravano did. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're not going to curse. We're not going to say that he should die. We're not going to be mean and vicious. We're going to present the facts. And these are going to be facts that are already out there. We're not making up no facts. And this show is dedicated to Alan Kaiser and his family. Alan Kaiser was a 16-year-old boy that was murdered. And we're going to get into that because Sammy Gravano gave one statement about the murder. And then recently on his show, he gave a sleazy statement that was a lie. And then people attacked me and said, well, Sammy said the kid came at him with a baseball bat. That's a lie. Sammy was lying. He knew he was lying. See, this is how you know that Sammy is not better. Sammy's not reformed. He's still lying for the sake of his show. And now MTV's about to glorify him. And I seen him on a show this morning for the last couple of days, a two-part series. He's speaking to a black gentleman, and he's telling the black gentleman, oh, my brothers. He's talking all this black talk and stuff. But not once did the gentleman questioning him say to him, Sammy, why do you have a tattoo of Odin on your arm? You know, the racist Odin that the prison gangs wear? No question, because that's reporting. Reporters don't do that kind of work. Okay, I'm going to turn over to Kane Shade because he wants to say some stuff, and then we're going to get more deeply into that. And remember, this show is dedicated to Alan Kaiser. We can say his name because you know what? In June, he would have been 61 years old. So to his family, he died young, and all they remember is the young version of the Faraci family, Joy Faraci. That's what they remember, the young virgin of her brother. And it's a very sad story because he was just a kid walking the street going home. Okay, Kane Shade.
Yes, I want to start off and say all respect to the Kaiser family and the Faraci family. What they've been dealing with for over 40 years is crazy. And to get reminded again, you know, Gravano went and did a fabricated story of, you know, just it's ridiculous. And as far as the tattoo that is part of the Aryan Nation Brotherhood, the Odin with the Viking, that is so anti-black, like a motherfucker. You know, as a neo-Nazis, you know, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it is. And you know, this is. What do you think about him being interviewed by a gentleman of an African American gentleman who claims to be a reporter but doesn't ask him about the Odin? And he talked about the Odin tattoo on his show.
Poor reporting. They should have nipped that in the butt when our interview started. He should have nipped it.
And the reporter said to him, "Oh, in my community, you're like a hero." He said that to Sammy Gravano. Mm-hmm. We look up to you. But you know what? I never heard a rap song with Sammy's name in it. I've heard rap songs with John Gotti's name in it, but I never heard a rap song ever with Sammy's name in it. So this is like trying to repair someone's image. And we have TV now. We have MTV trying to repair the image of a racist, a blatant racist that still has Odin on his arm.
And the New York people forget that 30 years ago on the New York Post, it said King Rat. Like he was known as King Rat in New York.
Yeah. And then when he got out of jail, what happened is, and I'm going to go over this real quickly. We're going to get into Alan Kaiser, but I'm saving that part because we're going to warm up a little bit so people get an idea all about Sammy Gravano. Okay, so when he went down to Arizona, after he got out of jail. Eventually, he started a drug business. And he said he was actually building his own gang. And this is what people say to me. He took the deal. He went to jail because he didn't want his kids to. No, what he did. He was trying to build a drug empire. He was trying to actually have a gang down there, and this was testified by one of the rats that came forward and said that Sammy told him that he wanted to run the area. And I'm going to put, and this was said on the stand by the gentleman that was with Sammy, and Sammy was grooming to be a hitman for his organization. Okay. There was a 1998 plot against New York lawyer Ronald Kuby, who slapped Gravano with a $50 million suit on behalf of his murder victims after The Underboss was published. That's his book. Other murder plots included the girlfriend of Gravanos. Oh, he loved his son's girlfriend. He wanted her dead. And so Gravano's son, Jared, reportedly spat in Bull's face. You know what? I got to give her a lot of credit for spitting in the Bull's face. What do you think, Kane Shade?
Definitely.
She really deserves a lot of credit for that. Mm-hmm. A Texas drug thug and partner to Pastucci, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I apologize, and I always get yelled at for not being good with Italian names. And the rat who told the feds where Gravano liked to dine every weekend. Okay. And Gravano even agreed to do 2 hits for an Arizona thug if the thug would kill Gravano's brother-in-law in New York. Okay, so that's just one part. That's something that nobody hears about. Have you ever heard about that, those contracts and stuff?
No, so he was running with the Aryan Nation before he went inside? He was running with them?
Yes.
I didn't know about that, no.
Yeah, they were dealing with him, and this is Sammy. Sammy's an opportunist. He doesn't care what color anybody is, what anybody does. If they can make Sammy money, Sammy will use them, and that's what they did. He used them. What do you think of anybody right now that would come on this show and defend Sammy?
I mean, they're entitled to do what they want to do, but I would just want to know. It has to be, if they like Sammy, it just has to be because they're entertained by him, not because they like him as a human being.
Do you think that maybe they're entertained when he's talking about Paul Castellano having penis pump in his penis, and he could take him in the room and look at it? That's very entertaining when you have this little old man that looks like the Crypt Keeper talking about taking some guy in a room and watching him pump up his penis. I mean,
people like watching train wrecks. It is what it is. Yeah.
And the thing is, Sammy's probably making more money. People go, no, he's not. Yeah, you know what? You know what kind of money he's making from YouTube right now?
Retarded amount of money.
Oh my God! You know,
of money.
People have no idea what kind of money he's making. I mean, it's just incredible. Yeah, and he's making so much money he doesn't even care about his Patreon page. That's how much money he's making.
Now let me enlighten the audience. If you have about 30,000 subscribers and a Patreon page, you're probably averaging 100,000 a year. This guy has 500,000, pushing 500,000 subscribers. The money this guy is making on his YouTube channel is ridiculous.
And then on top of that, here comes along MTV saying, you know what? We're going to give you more money. And then we can hear his daughter saying that her father was a victim. Never thinking about them. One thing I said on this show is that I would not talk about people's families. But she is not just family. She's out there defending her father. She's representing her father, and she knows what her father did.
And she wrote a book, Mob Daughter now.
Yes,
so
she did.
She profited off her father's name.
Yep. And she also
glorifying that life through that book.
And she also got charged with that drug ring down in Arizona, along with his ex-wife. His ex-wife is on tape arguing with Sammy, and Sammy's accusing her of not giving him the right amount of whatever. I think it was pills or money, and she's saying, I gave you everything, Sam. This is on tape. And Sammy said that he wasn't really involved, but he's so involved. And this is where the state of Arizona, I would like to say, how can you give a man, why did not Sammy get life if you knew that you had somebody on the stand that said he was taking these contracts out on people? That alone, if you were some woman, how many times have we heard about a woman that was in a car with some undercover agent hiring someone to kill her husband and getting life?
Well, he didn't get charged for conspiracy to murder. He only got charged for the ecstasy ring.
Yeah.
They didn't charge.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Why didn't they? The guy was on the stand. Why did they even negotiate with him? Why did they give him a break? They gave him a break on 19 murders. So now we're going to give him another break.
Well, I think the state did all right. They gave him 18 years for ecstasy, when really that's not like they I don't know, in Miami they slapped you on the wrist for that. Well, did they charge him as running with a organized like a organized crime kind of thing, or they just charged?
No. They charged. What they did is they were so worried about the FBI would have been very embarrassed because of what happened, because Sammy only got a couple years for 19 murders. And so when they did the investigation in Arizona hid it from the FBI because they knew if the FBI found out, the FBI may want to squash it because it was going to embarrass the FBI. He got another deal. He got another deal in Arizona. He was charged with running a synthetic drug ring, which was huge. The fact of the matter is ecstasy is illegal. People die from ecstasy overdoses all the time. People get killed in car accidents from it, jump off bridges from it. And when people take ecstasy, they never take more than one pill. They always take,
Ecstasy was huge back in the early 2000s. That's when the ecstasy started becoming really big around that time. Now I don't think you hear too much of it now as far as ecstasy.
Exactly.
Back then, at that time, it was huge.
Now, what I like to say is we're going to get into Alan Kaiser. And the reason we're going to get into Alan Kaiser, because to me, out of everything that Sammy did, evil, and he's done so many evil things, there's nothing more evil than the death of Alan Kaiser. And then Sammy went on his show about 3 to 4 weeks ago, and he had the audacity to say that Alan just happened to be walking down the street with a baseball bat. That was one story. And then that's what someone actually said to me. Then there's another story that he ran at Louie Milito. But the reality is, in his testimony, he said that he admitted that he gave the order to Louie Milito to execute the kid. It was mistaken identity.
Yeah, the last name is Milito, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Milito.
Yeah.
Okay, like I said, it's an Italian name. If I say it wrong, I have it. That's it. I don't, Okay, I'm an Irishman trying to say Italian names. Yeah. It just ain't gonna work out. Yeah. They don't have easy names like the Irish, McMurray and Cole and all those names. Okay, so here we go. We got this, and then we have this kid walking down the street. And the reality is they called him to the car. And so you got a 16-year-old kid that sees a couple mobsters by the car. And this is King's Highway. No one knows but Sammy what really happened. Sammy says that Louie Milito pulled the shot him. But that's Sammy's version. Sammy was there. Sammy admits he gave the order. So that's as bad. That's murder. That's murder as bad as even if he didn't pull the trigger, because he's the boss. Louie Milito's doing what Sammy tells him to do. And just for everybody to know this, eventually Sammy killed Louie Milito.
Yeah.
So
Milito is a piece of shit.
I'm not defending him. No.
I'm just putting it out there because I believe I'm not to get you off track, but I believe the Milito family is suing Gravano, but Milito was responsible as far as Kaiser.
Yeah, I don't understand what that family's even thinking of. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm not here defending that family. He was a murderer. I don't care if he was part of your family. Now, when you're talking about Alan Kaiser, that's a whole different ballgame. So, okay, so he admits that he calls this kid to the car. So he goes to the car. He never said that Alan Kaiser came at anybody in his confessions. He never said it ever. He didn't say it in his book. Never. He said it on his show just recently. So if he is better and rehabilitated, why would he tell such a lie? And for you idiots, and you guys are fucking idiots, I'm sorry, that defend him, either you're stupid or you just want to defend him.
Well, I'm reading a lot of the comment section now. I think majority of the people are saying they just like his stories. They're like in,
People,
they don't like
it.
him.
You know what? You like his story, but you know what, people? If you knew Sammy in real life, and if you're going to like his story and if you're going to watch his show, that's on you guys. That's on you. Sammy wanted one brother-in-law killed and killed another one. So, you didn't want to be his family member. You didn't want to be his business partner. And then on top of that, he tells Louie Milito that he's going to be his next boss. He betrays him and makes somebody else the boss. Him and Milito has a falling out. And so what happens? Sammy gets permission to take him out. That's Sammy. That little old man that gives you little stories. He has a little spot. If you believe in heaven and hell, he has a little spot down there waiting for him. As a matter of fact, the devil's retiring. He needs somebody to sit in his throne. And you just think about it. I mean, this kid would be 61 years old in June. So he lost his whole entire life. And the family, can you imagine 20 years after this young man was murdered, the FBI came to the door and said to the family, look, Sammy's admitted that he's murdered him, but here's the deal. He's going against John Gotti. He's ratting John Gotti out. So we're not really going to do anything about it. So basically, that's getting away with cold-blooded murder. As a human being, what I'm asking everybody in this audience, think about this. Are you guys capable of standing by a car, having a 16-year-old young man executed, shot him in the chest? Here's how evil that whole thing was. They shot him in the face. After they shot him in the chest shot probably killed him. And they knew that he was just a kid.
It's crazy. And then in the YouTube video, Sammy's calling him a junkie. Which is disrespectful.
Let's talk about the autopsy report.
Yeah.
No drugs in the system. That's the autopsy report. And so why doesn't people, this is the problem with the media nowadays. They got such a hard on for Donald Trump, they have nothing else to do. Nothing. That's it. We're going to go after Donald Trump and we're not going to question anybody. We got this mad killing machine, and that's what he is. He's a killing machine. You can't even describe it any other way. And he killed so many people. But Sammy says, well, people say he only killed 2 people. He gave the order. That is so silly to even make that statement. He only gave the order for one person to murder people. It's unbelievable. Okay, we're going to read some of the remarks here, and I'm sorry that
I've been looking at the comment section. Yeah, it's crazy. The comment section. I've been reading. Cuban, can I read one?
Go for it.
Yeah, Cuban B says, Sammy trying to write his own history, but he lies about a lot of shit.
Yeah, he does, and of course we're going to read Carlos. Sammy didn't kill his wife's brother. Paul did, and Sammy couldn't do anything. Yes, that's true. He could, but I don't believe he couldn't do anything about it. Okay, he couldn't do anything about it to stop it, or he would have got hit as well. He says he was there, so it would be a quick, but they dismembered the body. You got to remember, Sammy almost got killed for other stuff. Had nothing to do with the brother.
No.
Sammy was always ruthless, and everybody knew what he was.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, go.
No, I want to. If Sammy didn't kill his wife's brother, Paul did. There's a lot of rumors, and this is just a rumor, that Sammy killed his wife's brother because the wife's brother was going to expose Sammy as homosexual, and this I'm not joking. I've been hearing that a lot. That, and it's coming from multiple people. This is just I'm just saying
yeah. And in the first Gotti movie, who murdered the brother-in-law? In the movie, they actually had Sammy murdering the brother-in-law. I know it's a movie, and but in the movie, they had him throwing the bags of cement on him. Remember? So they're basically saying Sammy did it, even if Sammy didn't pull the trigger, he did it. So these are the excuses people make.
The movie was fabricated, but even Sammy has a movie on YouTube. It's called The Witness, a mob for the witness or whatever. He has him killing his brother-in-law in that movie too. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, but they have a Sammy Gravano movie on Witness for the Mob. I think that's what it's called. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch anything about Sammy. I have too much respect for myself.
Yeah,
I just couldn't. I admit that I used to watch some of his shows and stuff and listen to them. But, I remember listening to them, and when he was saying things, I knew he was lying. Because anybody with half a brain could figure out that he's lying. In most of his stories, I would say 30% of what Sammy says is true, 70% is lies in his shows. And, you got to, and people go, well, he's not lying. This really happened to him. Think about everything he's saying that happened to him. It would be literally impossible. You'd have to be 300 years old in order to have that much stuff happen. Okay. Let's go to C-Town says, no, dude, they found the guy that stomped Sammy. He found him, shot him. He ran. And that's the story they tell, C-Town. See, this is the problem with people like C-Town. They believe everything Sammy says. Why would you believe Sammy? Give me a reason why you think Sammy's an honest man.
Well, C-Town, about 99% or 100% informants are liars. So you're watching a guy that is a liar. So you're going to believe a liar? All of FBI informants and snitches, they are liars. That's what they do. They're liars.
Yeah, the kid ran at Louie. Think about it, dude. I just told you what happened. The autopsy report says it didn't happen that way. So you've taken Sammy over autopsy reports. You're taking Sammy at his word because you know what? Sammy's more honest than an autopsy report. Sammy's more honest than good people. So this is the problem. C-Town, you are part of the problem. Sorry, but you are. Okay. Conspiracy gets you more than murder. Conspiracy is heavyweight charge. Yep, that's true. And it's obvious that Arizona could have gotten a lot more charges on Sammy, but chose to only go with. They didn't want to take a chance of losing the case. Everybody says, "Oh, but Arizona did a good job." No, they didn't. Put everything together. It's like I said. You have women that plot to kill their husbands in those ID channel shows. You ever see those ID channel shows?
Yeah.
And when you got your undercover cop, and then next thing you'll read, she got 25 years in jail. But Sammy doesn't get 25 years in jail. Sammy even got out a year early from his charge.
Yeah.
For good behavior, I guess. And you know why? Because they said he was sick. He's so sick that he sits in the basement on a chair looking like the crypt keeper telling stories. Okay. Put yourself in the shoes of someone facing, I don't know what Q means, dude. But, there's no facing what? John Gotti was facing that, and he went to jail, and he died in jail. You don't think John Gotti could have come forward and talked about all the big executives that he worked with? And John Gotti had a lot more information than they had. He could have come forward and said, look, give me some kind of deal. Not even about getting out. He could have said, listen, don't keep me in isolation. I'll give you some information. But he didn't do that. He stayed in isolation, 23-hour lockup. So, so here, they all ratted. That's why I can't understand why people take sides. What makes someone take one rat over another? Yeah, Larry Lapper. We're not talking about ratting right now. We're talking about the murder of a 16-year-old boy. And Larry, I appreciate your remarks. You're always on the show. You always give good quotes. But we're not talking about rats. He is a rat, but I'm not saying that he. Right now, this show is about, if you read the YouTube, it says that it's about a murder of a 16-year-old boy. So this ain't got nothing to do with ratting. This is a man that lied. He went on his TV show, his most recent the TV show he's doing now, or his podcast, excuse me. And he lied. He lied and made the kid look like a drug addict that was crazy and attacking him. Come on. Okay. Sammy's stories have historical value. He was there. Okay, I can't even touch that one, dude. I'm going to put that shit in a history book. Oh, I'm going to talk about how some guy took his shoes off and died like a man. That's historic value. I mean, come on, really? I just can't go with you on that one, my man. Bruce Jenner. What is it about A-Light? You can't get away with A-Light. It's like trying to be with Johnny Depp and getting away from Amber Heard. You just can't do it, And we'll be talking about him in a couple minutes. Okay. He's a mobster. What the hell do you want, dude? You're weird. Oh. You know what, dude? You have no idea. I am weird. But you know what? You have a picture where you're wearing a helmet. So, who's the weird one?
No, he likes the University of Michigan.
Huh?
That's a Wolverine helmet, I believe.
Didn't they win a game? Didn't they win like a bowl game a long time ago? I can't remember.
Well, they won the national championship in 1999.
That 1999.
That was the last time the football program won a national championship.
Oh, so they didn't. They actually had to wait almost as long as. Well, they didn't wait as long as the Dallas Cowboys, but it was close. Now, in all fairness, Louie Milito was in jail and wasn't on board with the Castellano head. But I'm Bandit Dane. I'm not even saying that. That's any. Louie Milito was a madman killer, and he deserved what he got. But Sammy wanted him out of the way because that was the one man that had information about that murder with the kid. And the only reason Sammy came forward is because Sammy thought that they already knew about that murder. And if he didn't come forward and talk about that murder, he would have lost his whole deal. Because the FBI told him, if you hold anything back that we know about already, we will not give you any deal. So Sammy was on the spot. Sammy had to come out and say what happened. So that's why Sammy brought up the murder of the kid. Uh-huh. Larry Lapper, that's life. Can't understand why you think he's different than any other mobsters that you don't hate. What are you talking about? I don't really like mobsters at all. Okay. Sammy, I think put the wire in the Raven Knight. They never say in the docs, always the ex-FBI or whoever will say who. I believe this was planned a while. Sammy was working with them. Well, I never heard that one. Have you ever heard that one?
Never heard that
but
one.
You know something? As evil as...
Sammy didn't put the wire in the Raven Knight. That's crazy. I think he's fucking with you, this Hill 831.
Yeah. But that's what I'm talking about. People are very sensitive right now about Sammy. People are still in here defending Sammy. I just told you what he did to a 16-year-old kid, and you guys still don't care. That's sad, man.
Yeah, this is a kind of differently. This is not the elite fanboys. We're talking about Gravano fanboys, and he must have a bunch of them. So.
Oh, there's no doubt that he has a bunch of them. But and they're making excuses for him. Do you think that the easiest thing for me to do for a show would to be come out here and talk about how great Sammy is? That would have been the good thing for me to do. But Jeff Canarsie has a show. Do you know about his show?
Yes, I'm a huge fan.
Okay. Well, if you watch he has one from 2018 where he talks about Alan Kaiser. I would tell anybody to please watch that.
Definitely.
Because he really talks about Sammy Gravano in the way that Sammy Gravano deserves to be talked to. So I would tell anybody, please, when you leave this show, go pull up that Canarsie, and it's called Mob Talk Radio.
Yes.
And it's and just listen to what he says. I mean, I can't say that here because I can get flagged as a show if I start saying the things that he was saying in his show. He has an adult version on his show.
He talks from the heart.
And he basically says any fanboys of Gravanos are just, they really got to question who they are as human beings. Okay. Bandit Dane. What about the girl killed by Scarpa? You're not joking. That was horrible what Scarpa did. Scarpa's a piece of shit. He's right at the same level to Scarpa's. They brought that girl into a club. They conned her to get in there. The son held her down, and the father shot her in the head. Yeah, those are the Scarpas. I mean, there's one out there running around right now. I mean, God. And it's like you feel dirty just thinking about him. Because I'm a Scarpa, because you're a killer and your father was a killer. This is Scarpa's who Mazza talks about how great they are.
Well, Scarpa shared his wife with Larry Mazza. They were like doing some kind of like menage a trois. That's weird. They were sharing girls. Isn't that a little weird, Rico?
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Sharing your girl with another man? Like what?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's weird. But the fact of the matter, look up the Scarpas and think about the young lady that was murdered. And it was a horrible murder. They said, come down here, we're going to give you a job. And they executed her. A father and son together. That's kind of scary in itself. Okay. Sammy trying to write his own history, but he lies about a lot. He does, and that's what he's doing now. But we live in a society that forgives that stuff. Our society's worried about little silly shit, but they're not worried about people like Sammy Gravano. And letting these guys come on, these rats that come on and start these shows and stuff. What do you think about that?
It's crazy. I was reading the comment section. What'd you say, Lee?
What do you think about these guys coming on right now? All these rats coming on with their own shows and saying what they want to all rewrite their history.
It's about money, Lee. That this is YouTuber's outlet to make money, and they're trying to capitalize. That's what it is.
Well, A-Light can't be making money right now at YouTube because one, he's not putting out videos, and he's showing up on people's shows.
Well, he has a Patreon channel. He's probably making money with the Patreon.
Yeah. Well, but he's not doing anything else. But the amount of people he has on his show, like you said, if he has over 30,000 people, he's making money on commercials and stuff. He'd be doing 6 shows a week. It's a business, and you run it like a business. Why does Sammy do a show every day? Just about same reason. Okay.
Well, maybe that he does it once a week because he needs a whole entire week to come up with stories and think.
Okay, here's a fanboy right now. Okay, fanboy. Lee Cole, where do you get your facts? Dude, go to the New York Post. Every fact I gave today on Kaiser was accurate. Okay, and he was murdered on August 5th, 1977. That's accurate. He was 16 years old. That's accurate. He was murdered on Kings Highway. A matter of fact, it was right off of 8th Street. That's accurate. So I don't know what you mean by that. He was suckered by two hitmen to come to his car and murdered. That's accurate. So that's a fanboy question, dude. Matter of fact.
Shit.
What?
No, I'm just saying, shit, what are you about to do?
Well, something, I'm not going to win here because half the people here are fanboys. 216, A New Hope. 20, The Empire Strikes Back. 2024, The Return of the Jet. Okay. Well, something, I'm keeping politics out of this. I didn't say I didn't agree with you. Okay. His brother-in-law was coked up alky and was phenoic. Paul wanted him dead because he was gay and flaunted it. Okay, but Yeah, we do know that, but
Mm.
are you saying so that's okay? And so Sammy was okay to murder Alan Kaiser? I
I
mean,
don't.
people keep bringing up his brother-in-law, but the fact of the matter, how about the fact that he took out a hit on his other brother-in-law? Well, he wanted to. He wanted, and that's written. You had someone get up in the stand and say what was expected. Is that okay too? So here he is. He's down in Arizona and he's still calling for hits. He wants to hit the lawyer that for the families because of the son of Sam law. They took his money from the book that he'd written. He was furious, and he was so furious and angry that he wanted to go after Kubi. But Kubi was smart because Kubi, they wanted him to come to Texas, but Kubi had was a lawyer for somebody who was on death row, and the guy was put to death. So Kubi always swore that he would never go back to Texas. So they couldn't. So he didn't come down to Texas, and he couldn't get killed. But we might be saying something different if Kubi came down to Texas. And remember, for every one crime you commit, if you're a good criminal, you get away with 10. So we're just talking about things that they can get on Sammy. Can you imagine the things that we don't know about Sammy?
Crazy. You think he told the FBI everything, or do you think he left a lot of things out?
Oh, he's probably.
He
Of
left
course,
some
he left.
shit out. Yeah.
Come on, you know that was more than 19. I mean, the guy. Let's see. This guy's always right. I don't know what it is about him, Mob Rats, but he seemed like he's not a fanboy, so I like that. Sammy is a fanook. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Okay. The 1990s movie is quite accurate. You know what? I seen a picture of Armand Asante hanging out with John Jr. So, it's not like he's angry at him or anything. Okay. Okay, Lee. Back to my teeth, my real teeth. I don't know what it is, dude. People don't, it's like, oh, you got false teeth, or one guy says I look like I chew rocks. I mean, there's some really good insults out here. So Lee, take them teeth out, please. Greg Jenner. Okay. Okay, Greg. Okay, Carlos Munoz. Cane Shade, is it possible he has sugar in his tank?
I'm hearing that. I'm hearing that a lot. As far as Gravano, I'm hearing that possibly he was, gay. I'm hearing that a lot.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm not going to say that.
No,
I'm not going to say I don't know.
No, I've heard from multiple people, and some reliable sources that he killed his brother-in-law because the brother-in-law was going to put him out and call him a homosexual. That's just a rumor, but I mean, shit. Sammy says a bunch of shit. It is.
Oh, you mean the penis pump story?
Yeah, he talks about Paul Castellano's penis. He goes it's weird. It's just weird,
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
But if he is gay, that's on him. We're not saying nothing. It's bad. Well, gay, but okay. I'm just saying the rumor is that he possibly is a homosexual.
Okay, Greg. One joke. But you come back with another one. You know what I love about this? I'm gonna take you right here, and I'm gonna block you. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Thanks. Been trying to spell that since I've been watching okay. I don't know what that is about. So there's still an open contract on Sammy for $500,000 that he's been hiding. He's not hiding. If Jimmy Calandra can go to his house, he's not hiding.
No.
Matter of fact, he doesn't care because, let's face it, he's actually saying to the mob, you ain't what you used to be. And, that's a dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing because no one knows, just no one knows. Just recently, the godfather of one of the families got murdered. And the law knew he was the godfather, so I would say the family is still active. So, I always wondered about that myself. I guess they're giving him a pass. Here we go. Oh gosh, did John A. Light bat Bonnie and Clyde's Ford V8 with a Tommy gun because they didn't use his parking services? Yes, he did. Okay. You know, why can't we get away from Johnny A. Light? What is this about Johnny A. Light?
It's just crazy. It's crazy. And you mentioned that he drops a video every week. I think that he needs that week to make up something. Like, you know.
Well, yeah, let's see. Everyone is trying to make a buck out there. This kind of stuff, including you. All these men are evil, but you have it in Fort Sammy. I find all these ex-gangsters good listening. Let me tell you, Hardy Singh, if you knew gangsters, you would be looking over your shoulder every minute. You know who comes to kill you if you're a gangster? Usually your best friend. Remember that. You know, you're living in La La Land. You know, it's like a, world that people live in. That's why people are watching, because they want to think that they could live in that world. It's like I said, I've been around many gangsters. I just don't talk about it, and I don't pretend that I am a gangster. But so, that's basically what it comes down to. Hard, deep Sing. Okay, I like your name. Okay. Okay, Lucio Manus. Okay, Lee. Still has Gotti Jr.'s nuts on its slip clean. Okay, Luciano Mancuso. Did I say that right? Okay. I got Gotti balls on my chin.
No.
Okay. Shit. Okay. Hey, listen, I'd rather have Gotti balls on my chin than have Gravano balls on my chin.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I want some crypt keeper balls on my chin. Okay. I mean, because I want to be honest, John Gotti was a man, so sure, he was a gangster, but that's what he was. But you know what? He died in his bed with a cuff on his arm. Okay, so let's remember that. Where does Sammy die? He didn't die. He's still running around going after all you fanboy suckers. And you know something? You could say whatever you want, but right now there's 213 people. Last night there were 340 people. A couple shows before that, it was 440 people watching this show. So people are watching this show live. So there are people that agree with me. They may not be saying anything in the room here, but they do agree with me. And they're probably nauseous and sick that so many of you fanboys are sticking up for them. Keep your friends close, Vin. Okay. That was a line, wasn't it? Okay. Oh, Joan Owen. Joan, this is my sister. Okay. Joan, they've been making fun of my teeth. Okay. Your brother needs help. This is my wonderful sister. She's retired now. And she just sold her house. And now they live in a big fancy motorhome that costs more than a house. And they travel around the country because they're spoiled. So, love you, Joan. Okay, let's go down here. Anthony Camello, getting no pass for killing Frankie Boy Cali, hard to get. Now he's in a hospital jail. Yeah, it's, something? It sounds like he did get a pass, doesn't it? That whole thing is weird. I did a show on that. And the video, quite a few people watched the video. But I did a show on that. And I was talking about the gentleman that killed him. And it's kind of weird that he's still in the hospital after all this time, after the murder. It's just strange. I mean, that whole thing is really weird. Do you know about that whole thing?
Yeah, he's going psych. He's trying to plead the insanity plea.
Maybe it's taken so long because of COVID. They didn't really move people around.
Well, this happened, 2018?
Yeah, it's 3 years. I mean, and
yeah,
he's still
the COVID was 2020. So I don't know.
Okay, James, bro, coked out Gunner would be a beast. Poor Gunner. And listen, last night I had people complain to me that I was too tough on Gunner. Then I had people tell me that I was afraid to ask him tough questions. So one thing you're going to learn when you have these shows, you can't win. What do you think, Handshake? Can you win?
You can't please everybody. You're gonna everyone's entitled to their opinion as well.
Okay, we know Mob Rats has some opinions, right?
Oh.
Okay, let's read his next.
Oh my God. You want to read that, Cole?
Sammy's wife looks like Rod Stewart. Hey, Sammy, if you're watching this show or if Fat Karen's watching this show, remember, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call her Fat Karen, but Mob Rats makes me. He always calls her Fat Karen, so I get lost.
Yeah.
You know, Sammy's wife looks like Rod Stewart. Okay. Did you see that fight, a Mob Wife, when Karen Gravano had to fight and she was fighting and rolling on the floor and her boobs were hanging out, and boy, it looked like everything in its glory. I mean, and then she talks about how great her father is and how she's a princess of mob royalty. There's no mob royalty. He has nothing to do with the mob no more. All he does is tell stories. That's all. And the stories are usually 50% real, 30% real, 70% fake. I'm sorry. Okay. Testosterone. I bet hitting Gunner in the head with a baseball bat while he's on coke would probably still have him coming at you.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to tell you what, Ultra, testosterone. Here's my challenge to you. I want you to get a hold of Gunner, meet him somewhere and try it. Okay.
I catch that show yesterday. Gunner is very interesting, an interesting guy.
He wrote me a letter today. I wrote him back, and Gunner writes these letters that are like a book long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading it and stuff. I mean, the guy's a lot more intelligent than people think he is, but the guy also talks a mile a minute, and you can't keep up with him. He kind of, can you imagine Gunner in a room with Johnny A-Light just having a conversation for an hour?
Oh, wow. Didn't they have a show?
Yeah, but Johnny A-Light couldn't get a word in. That's the only time I heard Johnny A-Light being quiet, because Gunner out-talked him. Okay. Cool out AC. Vincent Gilbert, one thing I agree with Hootie is saying that it's fake to say these mob guys have channels for kids, or that somehow the mob is any more dishonorable now than it was in the past. I agree with you, but you know what? It's hard to call people out when you got a couple when you have a couple GoFundMe pages in two different countries. It's very hard to call people out. You know, I like a lot of stuff he says, you know, but, you know, he comes into question, especially about the GoFundMe pages. And that's old news. I know it is, but still, it's news. And I don't know what the GoFundMe pages said, but it was in one of the shows it was put up. I actually believe it was by, what's his name that's in here right now? Mob Rats. Mob Rats, I think, talked about that. Okay, so you want to read any of these right now?
All right. Let's see. Cuban B, Camelo's family is rich as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, you know something too. He does not look like a hitman or a killer or a nut. There's so many stories on that. One is that he was fighting with him over dating someone in the family. Other one was that he went after. He thought he was going to pull a gun. I mean, there's so many stories on that. But I guess we're not going to hear it until the trial comes out what the actual reasoning was.
I got another one. Look, I can't even pronounce this. Mahmoud Larray. Cane Shades and Lee trying to act tough. You're a bunch of wannabes. We're trying to act tough here.
What do you mean? What do you mean wannabes? What do I want to be? I want to be I want to be a bald-headed old man. Yep. I don't even have to want to be it. I'm it. So you know what we are though? We're fathers. We love our children. You know, and we no longer have any warrants. You know, we got clean lives. We love our animals. I mean, I don't want to be a gangster or nothing. I'm just talking about gangsters because people like to hear things about gangsters. But what I'm talking about, what I'm basing my show on, and this is it. You don't have to watch this show if you don't want to, but this is going to be calling people out. This is what it's going to be.
I got an interesting question for you, Liko. What do you want to be? You want to be a successful YouTuber? Like, what does you want to be?
But I'm going to tell people something too. I could be monetized right now collecting money, but I still am not monetized. You know why? Because I live a pretty comfortable life. I live in a nice place. I was in I'm no longer in a relationship. So I'm really happy. So, but I have been. I have kids I can call and talk to. My sister just came in here and talked to me. So, I mean, this is who I am. I mean, I'm doing this show because I'm having fun. And when I feel like letting my monetization go through, I'll let it go through. But to be honest with you, I'm not even monetized right now, even though I can be. And I am working on my patron page, and I will put it up when I want to. Some people get to 1,000 and rush everything. I don't want to do that. I want to get to maybe 5,000 before I start all that stuff. Okay. Angela, want to laugh? A-Rat jumped into filthy East River crying, called 911, laugh out loud. Yes, we know about that, Angelo. We heard about that when he went in and he was trying to be a part of his culture. His culture didn't accept him, and he got beat up, and he ran out and jumped in the water, and he wouldn't come out. You know. Okay. What's up with that Gene guy? I don't know. I love this one right here. This comes from my sister. I love it. Lee is a brilliant man. You know, I got a couple sisters. I like one of them. The other one's okay. This is the one I like. Now, do you understand why? Okay.
Can I ask you a personal question? I seen that the WWF thing. Was that this? There was a clip of a sister. Was that her?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's her. And she likes looking at it, and she goes, "I look so pretty back then." She's still pretty, but she's like, "I look good back then." She goes, matter of fact, she said, "I can't believe how good I looked." You know? Yeah, there's a video out there with my brother and my family when they were protesting against the WWE. And that video you can find online. All you got to do is put in Tom Cole, Lee Cole, or Tom Cole WWF video, and that will pop up.
A lot of people don't know that you've been trending on the internet for years.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Tommy Cole forever in our hearts. I appreciate that, you know. And you know, this show kind of, you know, my brother's been going for only 4 months, and it was a horrible death. So it's very, very difficult to, this show has really helped me take my mind off of things. Otherwise, I'll be thinking about it all the time. Okay. Gunner never jumped in sewage to avoid a fight. We have a Gunner fan here. No, Gunner, no. Gunner would stand at the edge of the sewer and throw everybody into the sewer. Okay. You know what? You can say what you want about Gunner, but there's no doubt that Gunner can handle himself. I seen a photo when he got smashed in the head with a baseball bat with a broken nose. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
If you go on, and he has a wonderful website that you can go take a look at, and he has some great pictures on that. And he got on my case last night too. After the show, you know, he told me he was a little bit pissed because I didn't realize that Falcone was a character that he wrote in his book. The reality is, I did not study a lot on him.
Yeah, you know? I wasn't even familiar with this Gunner guy till you did the show. I mean, I've seen little clips, but I didn't know too much about him.
Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. We got Lost Soul. The bigger your questions, the more chance of getting up here. Sammy is a professional con man. This is why he snubbed A-Light. A-Light tried to trying to latch on to Gravano for publicity and credibility. Gravano is too smart for A-Light. You know what? When it comes to being conniving, yes, he is too smart. And okay, so for people that didn't know, we got to break the news if you didn't watch the video I did this afternoon. Johnny A-Light came out with some major news today. Did you hear about it, Cam Shade?
Yes.
Why don't you break the news?
You're talking about the thing that he was on YouTube?
Yes. Why John Gotti Sr. wanted him close and didn't want him to be friends with Sammy.
So Elite came out today, and there's a video. He said that John Gotti Sr. didn't want Elite around Sammy because possibly Gotti was going to use Elite to kill Sammy. This is the new one.
This looks like a threat. Rest in peace.
I think he was saying R.I.P. to your brother. I think that's what he meant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, God, I don't even know anymore, Dan. Please let me know. Is that a threat toward me or toward my brother?
No. You mentioned your brother, and there's so many comments that are coming in, so it's probably R.I.P.
Yeah, and I get but I do get those comments all the time. Gunner sold roids and did bodybuilding, but never took roids. Come on, bro. Yeah, let me tell you something. I seen some pictures of Gunner. He was huge. You don't get a built like that by just naturally working out. I mean, that's just a fact. Okay, Vince writes, enough with the sister comments. We don't give a fuck, Lee, with respect. Well, you know something, Vincent, just because you hate your sister and you had a bad family life, don't take it out on me. What's the matter? Mommy didn't treat you good? Okay. Okay, then we got Splashy 135 Gotti all day. He never took a plea or admitted it. You know, Munoz has done some hard time, and Munoz will tell you that people in the prisons and stuff all respect John Gotti. The ones that don't rat don't get any publicity. But John Gotti is still considered stand-up, you know, amongst people. Gravano is not considered stand-up. It's that simple.
He snitched.
Elite is trying to get a response from Gravano. This is why he is saying all this nonsense. It's creepy too. You know, how mad do you think he is right now, knowing that Gravano is getting that MTV show?
Oh, Elite? Oh man, he's gonna come up with more stories now. He wants
dude. I'm an old man. I have to go to the bathroom. You got to take the show over for a couple.
Man.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So what's going on in the comment section? You got Steve Cutler. Gotti love or hate him. He was a gangster and a gangster to his last breath. Definitely. Much respect. You got Lee over there taking a piss. Left me here, but I'm gonna keep the show going. Any opinion on the YouTube channel Mafia Made? I've seen that a couple times. That Mafia Made, that guy seems a little. That seems like another guy that's fabricated. I've seen a couple of shows. I know who you're talking about, Mafia Made. I believe he wants to meet Gravano in New York or something. But the Mafia Made guy seems like a weirdo, if you ask me. All right, what's Carlos Munoz talking about? He says Steve Cutler, absolutely, bro. Dan Everett says he's a drunk weirdo. All right. Chris Papa. Oh, man, these comments are moving. I'm trying to read all of these comments. Chris Papa says, Sammy keeps stiff-arming Elite. He is still salty about Jimmy being on the show. Yes, it seems like Elite's a little jealous that Sammy don't big him up. Definitely. All right. You're back there?
Yes, I am. Let's... Angel Gunner left out the carjacked woman. You know something that was brought up to me several times. To be honest with you, I never heard about it. So if somebody can send me some information on that, I would really appreciate it.
Lee, someone in the comment section mentioned about this YouTube channel. Have you seen this Mafia Made channel? It's this guy. That's another. Seems like he's another Fugazi. So,
really?
Yeah. When you get time, I've seen a couple of the whatever he sounds like. He's another one that he wants to meet Gravano in New York.
That guy. Oh, yeah, that guy.
He seemed a little weird.
Oh, real weird. And then he has a bottle of liquor on his on the counter, and he wants to have a fight with an 80-year-old man. I mean, you know what the sad part is? He gets a lot of people, you know, on his show. You know, and I don't understand why. John Lee compared himself to Tom Hagen from The Godfather. Yes, he did.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes, he did.
He did that to that Tom Hagen from The Godfather, Irish Tom Hagen.
And Tom Hagen from The Godfather was a consigliere. Yeah.
I could not believe that he did that. The whole thing with him today was so weird. He's a sloppy drunk, okay? What Hagen's name Hayden was Ben. Okay, well, I don't get that one, but you know what? Sometimes I'm not too bright. Darius Lee, you believe newspapers. I'm sorry, you're wrong this time. Okay, newspapers about what? See, it's easy for you to write that, Kevin, but you got to complete it. So right now you're acting like Sammy. You're saying something, but you're not completing it.
Yeah,
So
what is he wrong about, Kevin?
yeah,
Let us know.
what am I
What is he
wrong
wrong
about?
about?
Are you a fanboy? Do you run around with a cape that has Sammy Gravano's face on it? Do you buy his product or something? Let me know. Okay. I don't believe newspapers. I don't even think we have newspapers anymore. Do we have newspapers anymore? Do they even exist anymore?
Yeah, they're still around. They're still
Yeah,
around.
like maybe 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did quote the New York Post. I think that's why you're saying that. Like you quoted something from the
Yeah,
New York Post.
yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the Post, but a lot of people don't like the Post because it's conservative, so that means it lies. Okay. Okay, this is going to be bad. I still put you up here, even though you are very, very hostile toward me. Lee, you are probably the biggest conspiracy theorist on the net. You're proving that today. Okay, tell me what I'm saying today that's a conspiracy. Please, give me an example. It's a conspiracy that Kaiser was murdered by Sammy Gravano. Is that a conspiracy? Is it a conspiracy that he attacked Sammy Gravano or Louie Milito, like he said? That's a conspiracy. The fact is, he didn't attack nobody. You just don't want to hear it because you want to go watch your little Sammy. You like watching little old men talking about penis pumps. Okay, that's your thing, dude. If that's your thing, dude, you go right ahead. I'm sure that they have that station somewhere, the penis pump station, somewhere on YouTube. So you go for it, guy. Okay. Thank you. And, you know, Ultra disagrees with me too. So if he agrees with me, I appreciate that. Okay. Elite saw Gravano as, yes, he did. And yeah, he is butthurt, and there's no doubt about that. He's just, okay, here we go. Magmood also wears
Oh shit! He's going after the guy in the comment section.
Magmood also wears a thong grenade space on the head.
Damn.
Oh my god. Okay. The Hootie doing is Hootie doing DoorDash? I need a sandwich from.
I'm not familiar with Hootie. Like I really don't know too much about Hootie. I've seen like one Vlad interview, but I don't know really after. Who is Hootie?
He's a guy that, from what I understand, flipped, and he ran with Gene Borello.
Oh,
that in itself is very suspicious. And a matter of fact, Gene Borello was his crew leader, according to him.
So he was underneath Gene Borello?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. I know. Listen, you know, so he was underneath Gene Borello, according, if you listen to him, and he's always defending. A matter of fact, one of his statements was the best show on mafia stuff is the Elite and Gene show.
Jeez.
Yes, that was a quote from him. So that kind of gives you an idea where he's coming from. And also, there was a thing, he was looking at 5 years and he flipped. So, you know, I understand guys flipping for 50 years, but, you know, okay. Which makes him at the same level as Elite. Yes, Angel, you're actually right. And we appreciate that. Okay. Just a couple of guys who are up to no good.
That's he's quoting the song Dukes of Hazzards.
Oh yeah. You got to love Elite's little crew of guys like Gene and all those other goofballs. You know something? You have to. You have to. Can you imagine when they're sitting down all together, like at a barbecue or something? Could you imagine the knowledge that floats around that backyard barbecue?
It's crazy. They all hang out. All the little rats are hanging out together and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And they walk around. They probably follow A-Light around like he's like a hero, you know. And it's like we said about A-Light. A-Light might have an interest in life, but he has embellished it by miles and miles and miles from what it is. Okay, bubble gum. The problem with our society today is he's going to put up big words. I hate when people do this to me. Idolatry. That's true. That basically means idolizing people. And it's really sad that there are Sammys and full fanboys out there. Little do they know, all this guy wants is their money. Now go get your shine box. Yes, that's true. And that's what he wants. He wants your money and you're going to give it to him. And you're his little fanboys. But you know what? Back in the day, if he knew you guys, the chances are you did not want to know Sammy Gravano back in the day. Oh, is this Kevin dude? I wear underoos. Oh gosh, you know, Kevin, is that the best you could do? You got to come up with a better one, dude.
What's underoos? I don't even know what underoos is.
Yeah, like this guy. It's obvious this guy's older because underoos was years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so when he was a kid, it's obvious that his parents bought him underoos. So, it's just one of them little. He's probably like 60 years old. Maybe it's even what's his name himself. Okay, but none of them are made once they rat. Yeah, that's true. That you're not. You can't be. Okay. Oh man, Lee, you're a geek. Oh, skibbies. Okay, there's one here too that says, Lee, you're a geek. I don't mind being a geek, but I'm not a geek. I actually wish I was. Geeks rule the world. We just don't know it because, think about it. Who's geeks? The guy that runs Facebook's a geek. The guy that runs Twitter's a geek. The guy that runs Google's a geek. So they're geeks.
Geeks are making mad money.
They are. They sure are. No fanboy, but what you idiots are idiots. You claim to be educated, yet your brain conforms to stooping to ignorance. Where do you stand? Okay. But you just said that you're not a fanboy. It sounds to me like you're a fanboy, Miguel. But, appreciate your little thing. Hey, Miguel, do me a favor. Please subscribe.
He probably is already subscribed.
Okay. Well, keep it coming. I promise you guys one thing. Even though I can be monetized, I am not getting no money from my show yet. I'm not getting any money from my show right now. And there's a reason I'm doing this. But something, this is what separates me from a lot of people doing shows. They want to be monetized right away, and they don't realize it's not a good thing to get monetized right away. You should wait. And there's a reason for that. All these former LCN associates are jealous of made guys, Borello, Elite, Hooter, Gunny. Even Calandra is jealous. They are bitter and jealous because they were never made. I didn't realize that Gunner, Hootie, Elite, and Borello were made.
No, they want to be made.
Oh, okay.
They're jealous of made guys. They're jealous of guys that are already made.
I don't see any jealousy in Jimmy Calandra at all. I see a man that's a good man, that has a good life and a good family, that was involved in a horrible incident. See, I believe that people can come back from things, bad things. Maybe, people have to live with what they do. Hootie knows where everybody got their fingers pricked, just like how he got his tongue pierced. Okay. Okay. Miguel has a poster of John Elite on his ceiling with a glow in the dark moon stickers. Oh gosh, guys. Okay. Miguel Lopes wipes. Okay, I'm gonna tell you what. You guys got your crew, I got my crew. Okay, bitches. Okay. Jimmy Calandra and Gunner seem like cool dudes now. You know what? Yeah, I have no issues with Gunner. I'll be totally honest with you. I wish I knew about the carjacking thing. But you have to remember too, he admits that he did a lot of bad shit. And he admits that he was strung out on drugs and stuff. And when you're strung out on drugs, you do a lot of stupid stuff. So I don't know what else to think about Gunner. So I don't put him at the sleaze level of an elite or those guys.
You got to read this one. Tony Mano. Gene Borello stole my VCR. I want it back. That's a good one. I've seen that comment right there.
I thought he was going to say Gene Borello stole my Betamax that was sitting right next to my VCR.
Yo, that Gene Borello broke into a lot of houses in Howard Beach and stole from a lot of people.
Okay, we got the mafia has killed many, many, many innocent people. You can't pick and choose who's bad. They're all bad, all of them. You know what? I can't tell you you're wrong on that. When you decide that's the type of life you want, yeah. But do they all have YouTube stations and lie about someone being a drug addict and someone attacking them? They don't do that. So, that's what we're trying to say tonight. This show is dedicated to Alan Kaiser. And we're talking about Alan Kaiser being murdered and Sammy Gravano saying something else. That's what we're trying to say.
Dan F says VCRs are worth more than TVs now.
Hey, dude, Larry Lee calls the new Larry King of YouTube. He was married 5 more times than me. He was married 9 times. So I'm a lot more successful with women than he was. Okay. 4 divorces. He had 9. Okay. That's going to be something they're going to use against me. He's been divorced 4 times. Let's find his ex-wives. Okay. Gene Borello seems like a maniac if you get him mad. Yes. You know what? When he lost Gene Borello, he lost the guy. That was his hitter. That was the guy. Now Gene Borello's running around out there all by himself, And I always said Gene Borello is the only one that I found that I would be worried about.
No, I don't think. No, I wouldn't be.
Yeah, I think he has a loose screw, and I think that he does things without thinking. It takes balls to burglarize houses. It really does.
No offense. Well, I'm gonna just say, when you're burglarizing houses, there's 85% that you're a junkie stealing. Like that's junkie shit, Nico. Going into houses, going into cars. That's.
Now, do you guys see why I have Kane Shed here?
Mm-hmm.
Because he makes perfect sense. He shut me down. No, you did, and you're right. No, I can't argue with you, dude. That is junkie stuff. When I was young, I burglarized some houses, but I wasn't a junkie. And
I did say 85%, didn't I? I say 85% of the time you're burglarizing houses and cars.
Oh no, you're right. I remember when I burglarized a house when I was younger, a couple of them, and then when I got caught, the troopers brought me into the barracks, and then they sat down and they're telling me that I was the head of a burglary ring, and there was like 60 burglaries. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm 2, and they were trying to put 60 on me. But, I was a young kid. It was stupid. I was 17 years old.
I was told one time, Cole, that there's a difference between a gangster and a stick-up guy, like a jack boy. Down here in Miami, we call them jack boys. Those are jack boys who rob like a woman's purse or whatever. There's a difference between someone out there stealing and a gangster. See, jack boys, there's no honor within thieves. You get it? And Gangsters stick to a code. Majority of them. I'm talking about on a street gang aspect.
Unfortunately, that code is kind of wilted compared to the way it was, and that's unfortunate. And it's gotten to. Can you imagine Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky and those guys seeing what has become of gangsters and how quick they flip? Those guys, like Lucky Luciano, went to jail, and then he helped out during war. They started sinking ships in our ports here during World War II. And so Lucky Luciano helped prevent it because he ran the docks. And then what they did is they released him, but they didn't release him into the United States. They sent him back to Italy. And then from Italy, he started a cocaine ring and flooded the United States with cocaine. That was Lucky Luciano. His life is quite fascinating, much more than these guys now. True, but that's because he will shoot up a whole house. Yeah, that's true too. I think Jim, if you're talking about Jim Barillo, I think he would shoot up a whole house. A bro gunner doesn't look weak. No, he doesn't. Gene, the wife beater Barillo. Oh, now they're picking on poor Barillo. Okay. Just don't leave your addresses, guys. Okay. Everybody says Jimmy Calandra, one unfortunate incident with a woman being killed, but wasn't a Boy Scout. But he did a lot of scores with guns, slots. Yeah. That's, once again, I can't say you're wrong. And I would say that's something to discuss with Jimmy. He has a show, and ask him. He answers most of the people that go on his shows and leave things. So I would ask him that question. Tony, we got a Tony Splitcher. Okay.
Heroin is not cocaine.
But you're right. But there still are those who live by, no matter the outcome. Yeah, there is people that live by the code. And that's the problem. The media wants you to think that and the FBI, they want you to think that nobody lives by the code. They want you to think everybody flips. I mean, look what the FBI is doing right now in this country. They literally represent one party, and look at, they're raiding 75-year-old men's houses with 30 or 40 agents instead of just waiting at the door. So that's what they're doing. You have people from January that did that thing. I can't mention it because keywords, YouTube doesn't like it. They're still sitting in jail. They've never gotten to the court yet. And that's just for being there. So that's a very scary thing. Well, we're going to close this show down tonight. And we dedicate this show to Alan Kaiser and his family. When you lose somebody like that, and it's so many years ago, you never get over it. I would say to you, the only positive thing about your brother back then is you're always going to remember the young version. But what sucks is you're not going to remember the old version that got married, had kids, all those things. And we don't know what would have happened to him. He could have been, the streets could have taken him. It was a tough area he grew up in, or he could have gone to college and had lots of kids. We don't know what's going to happen with their lives. But, Alan Kaiser was murdered. He was murdered by Sammy Gravano at the orders of Sammy Gravano and Tony Milito. There's no doubt about that. So you fanboys can go fly back to his station and listen to him. But you know what he's doing to you fanboys? He's laughing. He's laughing about you guys giving him your time. The more clicks you give him, the more money he makes. And a lot of that money is off the soul, the body of Alan Kaiser. So would you like to close out with something, Keisha?
Just thanks for having me on. Much respect to the Kaiser family. Like I said in the beginning of the show, it really sucks that they have to be reminded of this over and over again. Sammy Gravano dropped that video a few months ago. Calling Kaiser a junkie. It's so disrespectful. But much respect to the Kaiser family and the Faraci family too, as well.
Yeah, and I heard that she was going to be watching the show tonight, and I hope she did. And I hope that she believes that we treated her brother fairly. And me just losing a brother, it was much younger than me and went way too early. I can only imagine your pain. So, I just want to say good night. You can stay here for a minute, Keisha, if you don't mind. Good night, everybody. We appreciate everything from everybody. And we were doing more shows. I got some shows lined up this week. And we're going to try to talk some about John A. Light. But, you guys get on my case if I do a whole show on John A. Light continuously. So I'm not going to. So, and tonight we had a nice crowd here. We were well over 200. So people were interested in other stuff. Okay, everybody take care. We appreciate your time, and thank you very much.